All right, we'll go ahead and get started. We'll go ahead and call Morris County special called meeting today for fiscal court, September 25th. On the agenda, we'll go ahead and jump to item 2, 2018 tax rates. If you remember, South Marshall Fire District didn't have their tax rates into us, so they got those into us. You should have the updated list.
The list, the only change is soil conservation. They had real estate at .52. That's outside the allowed amount that they can do without a hearing. So they have amended theirs to .5, which is what it was the prior year.
We're gonna need a motion to approve the.
All those the same, Emily?
There's no increases outside the compensating rate.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item, and you have, this is just more or less an update, if you want to.
Yeah, so I talked to Wendy, and we're part of this, I think it's called National Joint Purchasing Alliance, NJPA. And what it is it's a network of a lot of different communities, governments that allows you to go, they contract with vendors. And so it actually eliminates the procurement process of bidding them out because everything's already been bid. And so she just was going to update you all that she's going to purchase a mini track-hoe through this alliance, and they're already budgeted dollars, but it was just an update she wanted to let you know. Wow.
Because you're skirting the bid process.
But they already did it. It's like a state contract.
If it's a state contract, okay. Sometimes these organizations will tell you it's a state contract, and it's not.
Right. So this alliance, the equipment actually comes from McKeel Equipment out of Paducah. So they're in state that have done that bidding process. So all their contractuals are online. So
Didn't we check that out when we joined that alliance?
I did. She let me
Or
know
not?
about
Is
it.
that, I mean, is that a different one I'm thinking of?
There were a couple of different ones. I looked into it yesterday. And McKeel Equipment.
Okay.
You can check on that, Jeff, to make sure that's on the up. Yep, Emily's got a good point, and we need to
Okay.
make sure we're within the.
I think
law.
with the auditors, it was the master agreement to make sure that we have that document when we do use those types of state contracts. Item 1, Dennis Smith is here from the Marshall County Industrial Development Authority. Sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, court and judge. I appreciate you all inviting us here today. I have with me Brian Smothers as well as my backup man here. So what I wanted to do today, I've handed out to the commissioners and the judge the purpose of my visit today, and the purpose is simply to tell you that the task of the Marshall County Industrial Development Authority of purchasing the property to be known as the Southwest 1 Industrial Park, we believe we're to that point. I think we reported back in July that we were hoping to be here in September, October, and Dave, we don't believe we're here. So I wanted to report on that and tell you what funds we have and how we plan on making this acquisition. Then I also wanted to tell you that we believe we've identified a very strong possibility for the first tenant of this industrial park. So that's my purpose for being here today. And on the talking points that I handed out, I wanted to let you know that the total funding that the Marshall County Industrial Development Authority has received to date, which involves some grants and some funding from the fiscal court and from the City County Industrial Development Authority, and I'm sure there's others that I'm missing, and any interest we've earned to date. But we have on hand $805,926. And as you know, the purchase price of the Southwest One industrial property, the approximately 300 acres, is $3,800,000. So part of our process over the last couple of months was drafting a request for proposals from local financial institutions so that we could have options to purchase that property. We received those proposals last week, met at our regular meeting yesterday afternoon here in this room, and our board has decided that CFSB offers the most favorable proposal, and we're currently going to work through the details of getting financing in place. On the sheet I handed out, I put on there that we feel the best option for this is a 30-year, 3.999 fixed rate loan with full amortization. So that gives us some options. It lowers our payment on the front end until additional funding comes in. This proposal from CFSB will also allow the Industrial Development Authority to borrow up to 90% of the purchase price, which we view that as very favorable. And one thing I didn't list there that could be important is that we will have the option of going with annual payments, with the first payment being due into next year, not this year. So that gives us some additional time and flexibility to be able to acquire this financing and get our ducks in a row, if you will. Plus, if we do get successful on the state incentives that's been applied for and some local incentives that we're working through, there's a possibility that we will get some additional funding from the Delta Regional Authority that would go toward the option or the acquisition funds to purchase this property. And I'm not sure of that exact amount, but we're anticipating between $200,000 and $300,000 possibly. So with that being said, we believe that we are now in a position to exercise the purchase contract that was assigned to the Industrial Development Authority from the fiscal court. We believe that the mortgage debt service payments that we'll be looking at will be funded with your all's agreement in the memorandum of understanding that we also executed with you all earlier this year through the TVA in lieu of tax financing, which is earmarked for economic development. Plus, there could be other revenue streams that we would be able to acquire and have granted to us, if you will, from other sources. So with that, I will open up for any questions or comments from the court.
You said you met yesterday. How many proposals did you have as far as the financial institutions?
We received two.
Okay.
We, and I don't mind telling you, it was.
I don't care who. That's
Yeah, okay. We received two, and it went out to all the local institutions.
Okay.
Yes.
Gave everybody opportunity
Everybody.
locally. Good.
Everyone local. Anyone that had an office in this county had an opportunity.
The way it should be. Good.
No prepayment penalty. Anything else you'd like? You're the banker in the room, so. Pretty cut and dry, really.
Yeah, it was pretty straightforward. There was a pretty vast difference in the two proposals we received back, and I think CFSB far and away had the best option that I think will be the best thing going forward for the authority, for sure, based on the rate and terms they provided.
Answer my question. I've got all the faith in the world. The people of this committee that you and I discussed, Dennis, you all are business people and longtime business people in this community, and you got a business plan, and that's makes it a whole lot more palatable to me to go forward.
Thank you. I will also say, in charge of negotiating and putting the details together for this loan, the Industrial Development Authority Board wanted to leave that up to the Executive Committee, which is made up of George Long, Elena Blevins, and myself. Yep. Any other questions or comments on that part?
Appreciate your work on this.
Yes, sir. You're welcome.
I think there was one question for the court, and that was the legal counsel to do the
On the title search
Title
and title
search.
opinion, well, we think in the proposals that were received that we can possibly save money on the third-party fees related to the loan if the county judge's office could do the title search and title insurance for this project. If not, there are other options out there, and we intend on making that part of the negotiations with the banks or with local attorneys. But that would be a question. Is it possible for the fiscal court or the county judge's office to provide the title work on this project for the acquisition of this 300 acres only?
Is that something your office, county attorney's office can do?
Yeah, we can do the title.
Is there a fee?
We can't do the insurance or anything like that.
Okay.
We could just do the simple title exam.
Okay. That will be, if we can do that, then we will revisit that with the Executive Committee of the Industrial Development Authority and come back with our best option on that through the banking process. Anything else? All right, I'm going to turn my page over into the ones I passed out, the notes that I have. Some of you know from attending the Industrial Development Authority meetings that we've been working with a company that we're just going to term Project Tech at this point. Project Tech is a very strong possibility for our first tenant in this in this new Southwest One Industrial Park. And to give you a little bit of information about them, they are a technical services firm that specializes in software development and information technologies for utilities and local governments. They currently serve over 500 customers within a 9-state region. They currently employ technicians, support specialists, network engineers, and project managers. Average pay for this firm is roughly $45 per hour. So they're good paying jobs. Now, part of the confidentiality is the incentives that they've applied for at the state level. So I believe, and I don't think I'm out of line at all here by saying this, but they plan on creating a fair amount of jobs, and I don't want to give that number. I want that to come out later. But there are state incentives involved, and that's a lot of why we need to keep this confidential, because a deal's not a deal till it's a deal, right? All right, so the way we would plan on, if they get the incentives they've applied for, to kind of give you a heads up and plan for the next few months and what we may be coming back and advising you of, the way we would structure this project is we would come up with a long-term lease, probably a 20-year lease that's agreeable to Project Tech and the Industrial Development Authority. The Industrial Development Authority would actually own and build the facility that they need and lease it back to them. At the end of the lease, they would own the building and the property that's under it. So to do that, there's a lot of different statutes that apply, and it has to be structured properly. The advantage is it's a lower interest rate for them because we, the Industrial Development Authority, can borrow money at a reduced rate through tax-exempt financing. So that's the reason we want to structure it that way. It's exactly or almost exactly like the FLW project was done 20 years ago here in the community. The financing of that would be based solely on the financial strength of Project Tech, not of the Industrial Development Authority Board. So it's basically off-balance sheet financing for that company in the form of a lease that they're using the Industrial Development Authority as a conduit to get the tax-exempt financing. Is that a fair way of wording that, Council? Okay. So that's our development plan for moving this project forward. I thought maybe Josh Tubbs would be here, and Judge.
He is. He's downstairs when we go in executive session.
Okay,
He
there's
can-
some local and state incentives that he can speak further to you about. I would muddle that up so bad you wouldn't want me talking about those, but, so any questions to that point? The way we plan on structuring it if we get this company located here? Okay. Utilities, there are no utilities to speak of at that site, so this is where the fiscal court can come in again. What we would need to do to lure this company into this park is to work with the city and county to get the sewer and water running concurrently during the construction phase of Project Tech. So we will need assistance from the fiscal court and the city to get sewer and water to this project. So that's where we can discuss further, I guess, executive session on
Right.
the dollars involved
Yeah.
with that and the timing of that. And one thing that this company needs is very strong broadband or fiber internet access, and not only one source, but they need dual sources for backup because their business is a 21st century job creation type business. So they have to have good, strong internet. They have to have these services in place. It is served by West Kentucky Rural Electric, so we should have some options out there. There will be an access road, entrances, and signage required throughout the process if we do get this project. And to tell you a little bit more, I think the state incentives will be announced Thursday of this week, perhaps Thursday afternoon. So for the press, probably watch for a press release Thursday evening or Friday morning if we get this.
From the state, Dennis?
From the state, yes, sir. So there may be a kind of fill-the-gap funding request coming, and we can discuss that further in executive session, but that's related to getting the utilities to the site, and I think we've overcome the fill-the-gap financing required for the acquisition of the property. So I want to be sure that we distinguish between those two separate things. We have a property acquisition and a potential project that needs the infrastructure to it. So with that, I'll open it up for more questions or comments.
Y'all have any questions? Bob, you got any questions?
No, it sounds very good. Sounds good to me. Appreciate y'all's hard work.
You're welcome.
Obviously, Dennis, will involve the utilities, will involve the city of Benton also.
Yes, sir.
I know I asked that question at our last meeting. Is the mayor going to be with us at the executive session for this discussion this afternoon?
No. The discussion with the utilities, which is going to be wastewater and water, we've already sat down with the mayor. We've had several meetings, so this is a meeting with the fiscal court.
Okay, well,
We'll have meetings.
They have the systems that
Tie into.
need to move out there, so I certainly think that a representative of the city needs to be there during these discussions. I would highly recommend that. It's their system.
That they have been involved, Commissioner, and in fact, the mayor actually called me earlier this week to discuss a couple of things related to.
She mentioned that this morning in my conversation with her this morning, too.
So,
There are negotiations going on. The fiscal court, what we're going to go into executive session to discuss the land acquisition.
kind of the way I envision it is if it's not a joint effort, maybe the fiscal court and county steps up and then turns the system over once it's completed for maintenance and servicing down the road to the city.
I feel more comfortable, not with the other, the land is our baby, but the utilities and so forth, I certainly think we accomplish more if we work together, because obviously there's positives for both the city of Benton, this project, and the county, and
Let me be clear, we're working together, okay? the city is involved. We've had meetings with the mayor. We've had, I think she's even taken some information back to the council. What we're discussing today is involving the fiscal court. We've got to discuss our affairs, and then we're going to have to sit down with the city of Benton because there is going to have to be a joint effort here.
Yeah, with utilities, absolutely, the systems belong to them. That's,
We've even
I
had.
agree.
We've even had conversations as detailed as there will have to be some sort of project management to coordinate these utilities. In other words, we don't want sewer going in
Correct.
after the fiber lines go in.
Right.
And you end up cutting that stuff up. We've got some coordination that has to be done, and that's going to take all parties involved sitting at the table.
I agree, and I just want to make sure that that happens, and
Yes, sir.
they're at the table when this is discussed.
Yes, sir.
I
Okay.
agree.
Any other questions, though, is what Dennis has in front of us?
I would like just take just a moment to commend the Industrial Development Authority Board for their efforts. They are a good bunch of individuals and community-minded people and people that want to see jobs created and brought to this community, not just for the jobs, but to keep our young people here, our human capital. And I appreciate the work they've put into it, as well as the work the fiscal court and City of Benton have done as well. Takes all of us.
And I'll echo on that. I've seen the hard work that the IDA is doing, and it's paying off. I think this is the biggest thing since, I believe, the 50s, when the chemical complex came in the Calvert. This is a huge accomplishment for this county.
We're not there yet, Judge.
Yeah.
We're close, but thank you. Anything else?
Thank you for
Thanks,
taking the lead in
Appreciate
your
it,
hard
Dennis.
work.
We need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. All right, we'll go ahead and call Marshall County Fiscal Court back to order. In executive session, we discussed land purchase for Southwest One. The IDA Chairman, Dennis Smith, presented some figures to the fiscal court, and it looks like, get my numbers here, $2,420,000 is the amount that is to be loaned, and there's a contingency amount of about $600,000 that the fiscal court would have to provide for the loan. So we need to take action for the fiscal court to secure $600,000 in that contingency amount for this loan.
Yeah, based on the numbers we were given, worst-case scenario would be approximately $600,000. And that would be what you would be asked to be responsible for.
Yeah, as you said, that's the worst-case scenario, and until the TVA money becomes, the $50,000 becomes in 3 years, $150,000 to keep it around $140,000 a year payment, and on annual payments.
Is there a motion?
To approve the $600,000.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second? I'll second it. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.